All right, my friends, you are probably hearing me say a lot of the times, assign priority levels to your tasks, and you might be wondering what that looks like and how to tackle knowing what priority level belongs to what task. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the more well-known and well-used methods in a little bit of detail, and whichever one seems to resonate best with you is how you can start assigning those priority levels. So the first one is known as the Eisenhower Matrix, and it was developed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And it's really a matrix that is cut into four different sections. So in the first section, it would be your urgent and important tasks. And those are really activities that are either emergencies that you couldn't have predicted, or things that you've left until the last minute and now they've reached that crisis point. And things in that category would be like a task that has a pending due date, a client complaint that needs immediate attention, some kind of equipment breakdown along those lines. The second piece of that matrix would fall under the category of urgent but not important. And these are really the activities that are zapping your time and energy without contributing to the longer term benefits. They keep you busy, but they don't really have value. So they're things like phone calls and emails, meetings, requests that other people make of you, but it's not really related or directly related to your goals. The third category is important but not urgent. And these are really the activities that help you achieve your long-term goals. Because these aren't necessarily pressing for your attention, these are things that you often will put off so that you can deal with the more urgent issues. So tasks that fall into this category are work that's directly related to your goals, education and training, relationships with your clients, your team members, maybe your vendors. And then the fourth area is your not urgent and not important. So these are activities that are not important for achieving your long-term goals, nor are they very urgent. So essentially, they're the things that are distracting you from doing the things that matter most. And that's looking at your email inbox, personal calls or visits during your work time, anything that really seems to take your focus off of your work or makes you procrastinate in some way really falls into that category. So, important things to note about that. The important but the not urgent quadrant that I just talked about. So, the important but not urgent, those were the activities that are helping you achieve your long-term goals. The ones that really aren't pressing for your attention because you're often dealing with urgent issues, so you kind of let them go to the wayside, but that's what's really directly related to your goals. So that's where you should be spending most of your time, the important but not urgent quadrant. That's your eyes on those tasks. So as you develop systems and you're able to plan more in advance, the urgent and important category is going to lessen for you. Um, the particular category, um, that urgent and important category is kind of similar to I have to put out a fire type of things. So those shouldn't really be popping up all that often for you on an everyday basis. And if they are, then those are things that need to be looked at so you can develop the systems around them and do more planning in advance. the urgent and not important category, that's the area that you can look at to decrease by simply being more realistic with your deadlines, by delegating tasks or determining the activities that aren't around things that need to be done, or at least by you. And then lastly, that not urgent and not important category, sometimes those things can be eliminated as you recognize that they're not urgent and not important and they're not focused on making profit. Or these are tasks that can be at least reduced by not spending a lot of time or effort on them, or they can be delegated to someone else to look at. So that's really the first of the methods I wanted to talk about, that Eisenhower matrix. The second is a method called the ABCDE method, and that's by Tracy. So you'll often hear ABCDE, and really what that is it's taking the items on your list and you are categorizing them A through E. So A would be your items that are most important. And an A item is defined by something that is very, very important, something you must do. That's a task for which there can be serious consequences if you fail to do it. And you're often going to hear this referred to as, these are the frogs in your life. That Mark Twain quote, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat two frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. So those tasks that go into category A are just labeled very important, must-do tasks. The tasks that would fall into category B, they only have minor consequences. So it's something you should be doing, but think of these as like the tadpoles of your work life. That means that someone might be unhappy or inconvenienced if you don't do it, but it's nowhere as important as an A task. So returning the unimportant telephone message or reviewing that email, that would be a B task. The rule is that you should never do a B task when there is an undone A task. You should never be distracted by the tadpoles when there's a big frog sitting there waiting to be eaten. C tasks, they really don't have consequences. So a C task is something that's nice to do, but there's no consequence whether you do it or not. So its C task is like phoning a friend, having coffee or lunch with a coworker, completing some kind of personal business during work hours. And that sort of activity doesn't have an effect on everything in your work life. As a rule, you never complete a C task if there's A and B that's left undone. D really stands for delegate. So a D activity is something that you can definitely delegate, like that, definitely delegate to someone else. The rule is that you should delegate anything that you possibly can to other people to free up more of your time so you can engage in your A, must do, most important tasks. So your A tasks and their completion is really what largely determines the entire course of your day. And then the E tasks are labeled eliminate. So an E activity is something that you should be thinking about eliminating altogether. After all, you can only get your time under control if you stop doing the things that are no longer necessary for you to do. So the key to making the ABCDE method work for you is to discipline yourself to start immediately on that A task. And then you stay at it until it's complete. You use your willpower to get going on that one job. the single most important task that you should be doing. In other words, you eat the whole frog and you don't stop until it's finished completely.